journey back to 1939 and revisit the magic of The Wizard of Oz, one of Hollywood's most iconic films. In this special feature, we explore the fascinating transformations of the beloved cast, from their timeless roles in Oz to what became of them in real life. Some found lifelong fame, others faded into mystery, and a few stories may truly surprise you. Join us as we reveal the incredible then and now of The Wizard of Oz cast in 2025. This is nostalgia like you've never seen it before. Judy Garland, who portrayed Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, was just 16 during the film's production, embodying a naive Kansas girl swept into a magical world. Her voice and innocence became iconic, yet her life beyond Oz was marked by turmoil. Pressured by MGM, she was given amphetamines to stay slim and energetic, leading to lifelong addiction. Garland married 5 times, her first to musician David Rose, followed by unions with Vincente Minnelli, father of daughter Liza Minnelli, Sidney Luft, father of Lorna and Joey, Mark Herron, and Mickey Deans. None of her marriages were happy. She struggled with infidelity, financial ruin, and substance abuse. A volatile relationship with her mother and childhood trauma haunted her, as did her erratic performances later in life. She attempted suicide multiple times and was frequently hospitalized. Garland died of an accidental barbiturate overdose on June 22, 1969, at age 47. At her death, she was nearly broke, with debts exceeding assets, and her estate was later valued at just over $40,000. Despite a tragic end, she remains a symbol of both Hollywood magic and the industry's darker underbelly. Frank Morgan, best known for portraying both Professor Marvel and the Wizard in The Wizard of Oz, was 49 at the time of filming. His dual performance added a touching human dimension to the mystical character, reflecting a man who wanted to help even when he had no real magic. Off-screen, Morgan was a functioning alcoholic, often arriving on set intoxicated. Despite his affable public persona, his personal life was marked by deep sadness. He married Alma Muller, with whom he had one son, George, who died young, an event that devastated Morgan. His marriage survived but was reportedly strained by grief and Morgan's drinking. His career faltered in the late 1940s, and he became increasingly dependent on alcohol to cope with fading fame. He passed away from a heart attack on September 18, 1949, at 59. At the time of his death, his estate was worth approximately $100,000, modest by Hollywood standards. Though fondly remembered for his wizardly role, Morgan's life reflected the hollowness behind the curtain, much like the character he so poignantly portrayed. Ray Bolger, who played Hunk and the Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz, was 35 in 1939. His rubbery limbs and endearing vulnerability brought the character to life, making him a fan favorite. Bolger's background in vaudeville and dance served him well, but despite this iconic role, he struggled to find equally impactful work afterward. He was married to Gwendolyn Rickard for over 5 decades, and although the couple never had children, their relationship endured numerous emotional rifts due to Bolger's long absences on tour. He suffered from bouts of depression, haunted by being typecast and forgotten by a new generation of filmgoers. In later years, his finances became strained due to poor investments and mounting medical bills. He died of bladder cancer on January 15, 1987, at the age of 83. Though he had once been a household name, at the time of his death, his estate was estimated at only $250,000. Bolger died believing that despite his fame as the Scarecrow, he had never quite received the respect he longed for in Hollywood. Bert Lahr, the man behind The Cowardly Lion, was 44 during the filming of The Wizard of Oz. A vaudeville legend with a flair for slapstick, Lahr infused the lion with both comedic charm and poignant insecurity. Despite the popularity of his character, Lahr found himself overshadowed in Hollywood and typecast. His marriage to Mildred Schroeder, a former actress, was plagued by jealousy and infidelity. They had one son, John, who later chronicled his father's complexities in a revealing biography. Lahr's post-Oz years were a mix of Broadway highs and Hollywood frustrations. He suffered multiple nervous breakdowns and became deeply insecure about his relevance as younger stars emerged. Plagued by chronic illness in later life, he died of cancer-related pneumonia on December 4, 1967, at age 72. His estate was modest, estimated around $500,000, much of which was left in trust for his grandchildren. Lars' legacy lives on, but his life behind the costume was often marked by emotional fragility, desperation, and fear, not so different from the character he portrayed. Jack Haley, who brought to life the tender-hearted Tin Man, was 41 in 1939. His performance was both stoic and sentimental, symbolizing the longing for emotional depth. However, his personal life carried unexpected weight. Originally not the first choice for the role, he replaced Buddy Ebsen after a near-fatal allergic reaction, an omen Haley never forgot. He was married to Florence McFadden, and they had a son, Jack Haley Jr., who would later marry Liza Minnelli, Judy Garland's daughter. The connection made Haley feel tethered to the Wizard of Oz legacy in both joyful and painful ways. Though his marriage was stable, he lived with persistent anxiety and health issues, including vision problems and heart ailments. Post-Oz, Haley transitioned into radio but struggled with feelings of professional stagnation. He died of a heart attack on June 6, 1979, at age 80. At the time of his death, his estate was valued at approximately $1 million. Haley's gentle Tin Man remained beloved, but the actor behind him often felt like he, too, lacked a beating heart in a cutthroat industry. Billie Burke, who portrayed Glinda, the Good Witch of the North, was 54 years old during the filming of The Wizard of Oz. Her graceful presence and melodic voice made her the embodiment of ethereal kindness. Yet Burke's life was more bittersweet than magical. She was the widow of famed showman Florenz Ziegfeld, who died in 1932, leaving her with massive debts. Billie struggled financially for years despite continuing to work in film and theater. She had one daughter, Patricia, with Ziegfeld, though their relationship was strained by Burke's frequent absences and emotional distance. Behind the scenes, Burke battled anxiety and depression, exacerbated by the pressures of maintaining a genteel public image. Though adored by audiences, she often felt isolated and underappreciated in an industry dominated by younger, more glamorous stars. She retired in the 1950s, living out her later years in quiet seclusion. Burke died on May 14, 1970, at the age of 85 from natural causes. Her estate was estimated to be worth about $350,000, having slowly recovered from earlier debts. A lady of charm on screen, her real life was touched with loneliness and silent suffering. Margaret Hamilton, who played the terrifying Wicked Witch of the West, was 36 during filming, and her unforgettable performance was so convincing it led to her being typecast for decades. Her portrayal, filled with menace and power, ironically limited her career. Hamilton suffered serious burns on set during a special effects mishap, which left her with lifelong scars and fear of pyrotechnics. She was divorced from her only husband, Paul Meserve, with whom she had a son, Hamilton Wadsworth Meserve. The split was acrimonious, and she raised their son largely alone, often juggling multiple jobs to support him. Despite being a dedicated mother, she lived in modest means and faced consistent rejection in Hollywood due to her witch image. She found solace in teaching and charity work, but depression plagued her, especially in the years following her retirement. Hamilton passed away on May 16, 1985, at age 82 from a heart attack. Her estate was estimated around $250,000. Though vilified on screen, she was a soft-hearted woman who never fully escaped the shadow of the role that made her famous, and trapped her forever. Charlie Grapewin, who played the gentle and bewildered Uncle Henry, was 69 when filming began. A veteran stage actor with a weathered face and kind demeanor, Grapewin gave the film a grounding in warmth and realism. Despite his seasoned career, Grapewin felt disrespected by younger Hollywood elites and was often relegated to minor, rural roles after The Wizard of Oz. He was married to Anna Chance, a fellow performer, but the couple remained childless and lonely, often spending long stretches apart due to touring commitments. Their relationship reportedly grew cold over the years. Grapewind suffered from hearing loss and arthritis in his later years, which made performing increasingly difficult. Bitter that his serious acting talent had been overlooked in favor of his homespun image, he retired in seclusion. He passed away on February 2, 1956, at the age of 86 due to natural causes. His estate, mostly consisting of modest property and savings, was valued at around $150,000. Though remembered fondly as Dorothy's uncle, Grapewind's own life was marked by alienation and a fading career that never received the respect he craved. Clara Blandick, who portrayed Auntie Em, was 63 years old when she appeared in The Wizard of Oz. Her portrayal of Dorothy's stern but loving aunt lent the film its emotional grounding. However, Blandick's life after Oz descended into loneliness and despair. Having never had children and married briefly to actor Harry Stanton, she lived out her later years in a small Hollywood apartment. The marriage ended without public fanfare, and Clara had no surviving family to care for her. By the early 1960s, she was nearly blind, suffering from severe arthritis and chronic pain. On April 15, 1962, she laid out her resume and photographs, dressed in her finest gown, and committed suicide by overdosing on sleeping pills. Her final note expressed a wish to be remembered for her work, not her suffering. She was 85 years old. Her estate was minimal, under $10,000, reflecting years of medical bills and dwindling opportunities. While her role as Auntie Em became legendary, her own story ended quietly, marked by loss, physical agony, and a deep sense of abandonment. Billy Bletcher, who portrayed the boisterous mayor of Munchkinland and a member of the Lollipop Guild, was 45 years old during the filming of The Wizard of Oz. Known for his deep, gravelly voice, he was a prolific voice actor in animated shorts, lending his talent to characters like Pete in Disney's Mickey Mouse cartoons. However, despite his vocal success, Bletcher found himself typecast and underappreciated in live-action roles. He was married to actress Arlene Roberts, and they had one son, Louis, but their family life was marked by financial instability and Bletcher's constant hustle for work. He struggled with self-worth, often feeling overlooked as newer, flashier talents entered Hollywood. Although his booming voice was iconic, his face remained largely unknown, which led to a growing bitterness. He became reclusive later in life, plagued by chronic health issues and depression. Bletcher passed away on January 5, 1979, at the age of 84 from natural causes. At the time of his death, his estate was modest, valued at approximately $75,000. Despite voicing some of animation's most enduring characters, his legacy was quietly buried beneath decades of unrecognized labor. Buster Brody, who appeared as one of the silent winged monkeys, was 58 years old during the production of The Wizard of Oz. A dwarf actor who made a living in Hollywood through background and novelty roles, Brody had a long but uncelebrated career in vaudeville and early silent films. Off-screen, Brody lived an intensely private life and never married. He was said to have suffered greatly from feelings of alienation and invisibility, both in Hollywood and society at large. Subject to discrimination due to his stature, he often endured degrading treatment on set and rarely received speaking parts or credits. He struggled with alcoholism in the later years of his life, which exacerbated his financial instability. His final years were spent in near obscurity in a small boarding house in Los Angeles. Brody died on April 9, 1948, at the age of 67, from liver failure. At the time of his death, his assets amounted to less than $5,000. Though his face was masked and unnamed in Oz, his role contributed to one of cinema's most iconic fantasy scenes. His story, however, is one of pain, neglect, and anonymity. Who is your favorite character from The Wizard of Oz? How does it feel knowing that some of the actors are no longer with us? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this type of content, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on future uploads. Thank you for your support.